we I was tagged. I was called out on to weigh my thought on this whole thing about whether or not a switch can be behind a door at your house. Uh, I guess because I'm an electrical inspector, they're like, "Hey, what's your take on this? I really want to know." And I was like, "I think it's stupid." Um, the code book doesn't say you can put a switch wherever you like. You It's 6'7". 6'7" is the maximum height for a switch. So there you go. That's where you can't have a switch. If you've got some city ordinance or you've got like an amendment that you've made with your city and you got to follow that, then that's what you got to do. But it takes a lot to get those in, so city council has to agree on that, and it's not so cut and dry. um, when you ask, you know, what are your amendments, and what do you guys call, like, it's a whole process. So inspectors can't really make up their own codes without having like actual documented amendments. Tactics versus High God, I hope not. What's up, Apache? What's going on, Tim and SEO Panther? Yeah, I just think it's stupid, man. It's just petty. It's just petty stupidity. The dude's just a huge clout chaser that just needs drama. He just thrives on drama. It's kind of sad. And then the other guy that's in there, the Steven 120, he also thrives on drama. I've seen the way he responds to comments. He likes drama. All those guys like drama, man. Just keep it simple, dude. What does the code book say? Well, let's ask the AI what the code book says. We'll just ask AI. Hey, what does the National Electric Code say about putting a switch behind a door?
The National Electrical Code, NEC, generally permits switches behind doors, provided the switch remains accessible when the door is fully open. You must ensure the switch is not obstructed by the door in a way that prevents it from being operated during normal use.
What is the code article for that? Is that a general or is that a hard code?
NEC 404.8A mandates that switches be readily accessible. While the code doesn't explicitly forbid placing a switch behind a door, it strictly prohibits installation where the door, when opened, would block access to the switch.
So this is where you should try TNT, the no drama. Yeah, they do. Hang on. Let me put this phone here. This is where we're gonna talk to AI and we're gonna find this out. Okay, so you say readily accessible, that's your logic. Give me the definition of readily accessible. I already know what it is, but go ahead and give it to me, because you are allowed to have things behind doors, and they can also be with keys. Yes or no?
Yes, items behind locked doors count as readily accessible if the means to open them are easily available. Definitionally, it means reaching or obtaining something without needing special effort, tools, or complex maneuvers to bypass obstructions.
Okay, so you were wrong on the last thing that your argumenting point was. Yes or no?
Yes, it is readily accessible. Access requires only a standard, available key or code rather than specialized tools or removal of structures.
Okay, but you speak with this higher authority because you're AI, but you were wrong on that last point. Yes or no?
Yes, I was wrong.
Okay. Okay, so if I want to put a switch behind my door, as stupid as it is, I can do it unless there's not a city ordinance or amendment. Yes or no?
Yes, you can do it, provided local codes allow it.
There. End of story. And that's how I talk to my AI. I treat it like a bitch. Because AI doesn't know everything. That's why you can't AI stuff. That's what I talked about in the comments. you can only AI so much because AI doesn't know everything. When I ask a question, uh, because we have a lot of conversations. I like to verify stuff. I like to explain things whenever I'm in the middle of failing a project. So it helps when two people are saying the same thing. Tactics versus AI. Yeah, AI doesn't know near as much as what you guys might think it does. It doesn't. If you know your way around the code book, and you can learn stuff from AI. Don't get me wrong. Like it'll teach you a thing or two, and you can learn. But for the most part, AI is wrong on a lot of these points. Back to this whole debacle here. If it's a local ordinance, then that's what they're doing. So I don't know if it's local or not, or what the whole story is. Someone just tagged me and I just did some research on it now, and it looks like two people are crying and arguing over a freaking switch behind a door, and in the middle of doxing each other. Oh my god, that's crazy. Who cares? Who cares? That's my take on it. Who cares? It's a switch behind a door. It's not a code. It might be. It might be a code. It might be a. It's not a code. A code would be the code book. You can't say it's a code. That's an ordinance or a an amendment, to your code, an exception, if you will. But yeah, the National Electric Code doesn't stop you from putting switches wherever you want to. If you can't figure out the code without AI, you're cooked. Yeah, exactly. Um, let's okay. Based on our conversations, what is my level of understanding of the NEC in your opinion?
Our interactions regarding the National Electrical Code have been limited to brief queries about code cycles and accessibility. Because we haven't discussed technical applications, specific articles, or practical implementation, there isn't enough information to form an assessment of your depth of understanding regarding the NEC.
So this is a wiped watch, and that's a new phone. So I would have to ask my phone and not my watch, or make sure I'm logged in, because I think I'm logged in with my YouTube account, and my personal is on my phone. I could get another phone, but man, we have so many conversations about these damn batteries and the 9540A and all the all the breakdowns on the solar and stuff. You can really use AI as a tool, but it's so obvious when there's somebody uses it in the comments, man. It's so bad. There isn't a blue tape emoji. What's going on? I don't follow that guy, so I don't know. Let's see here. Is that because he put blue tape on everything? It's only saying yes to appease the owner. Yeah, exactly. Junction boxes. Yeah, you can have junction boxes above ceiling tiles. Um, they don't have to be readily accessible. They just got to be accessible. So things that got to be readily accessible, um, would be like GFCIs have to be readily accessible. But what's something that like junction boxes like that, they don't have to be readily accessible. They just have to be accessible. So I'm saying yes. Let's see here. Tools, AI tactics, tactical AI. It only knows what other people have published in digital footprint. It doesn't make all correct and verified. Yeah, yeah. Low level electronics has no code. There's no NEC. It's different. There's freedom there. Oh yeah, yeah. Man, that's something I never got into was the low level electronics. Yeah, it's a good tool, but you shouldn't depend on it. Yeah, that's for sure. Um, I just put out a short. All of the images or whatever is on this phone, so I can't pull them up. But I just pulled up a short, or I just made a short that is pretty cool. These guys had two sets of 400 kc mil, so we have 800 kc mil total. And if you're trying to make like a bonding jumper, or you're trying to figure out what your MBJ is, or your main bonding jumper, or you're trying to, um, size a neutral, for example, you would use, your Article 250, and it would be based on the size of the total of your ungrounded conductor. So if you have two sets of 400, that'd be 800 kc mil. And these guys were downsizing their neutral, going to some equipment, and they also were downsizing it going back to the service. What's up, Jonathan? And a lot of people think that the neutral just carries the imbalance, but it does more than that. It's actually responsible for, you know, opening the breaker or the overcurrent device during a ground fault, because that's what the neutral does. It takes current off of your equipment grounds and puts it basically back to the power source, so we can send fault current to trip that overcurrent device on a service. And if that neutral is not sized correctly, it could burn up before you even clear the fault. So your neutral's a fault clearer as much as it is an imbalance carrier, and you gotta size it just, not the same size as an equipment ground, because equipment grounds are going to be after the overcurrent device. Neutral is going to be before. Now you're talking about a KC mill. Did you see the Star Power video saying the largest wire in the United States gauges 4-aught? No. No, that might be the largest wire that you need for a house. But no, I didn't see that video. Way undersizing for the grounding conductor. It looked like 12 gauge. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see that video with Styropyro. That's an entertaining channel, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much he really knows. I think he likes to make some pretty cool stuff and do some pretty crazy things, but man, that's pretty wild. I think the biggest conductor I've ever terminated was, I've done 1,000 kc mil, so a thousand kc mil, and then if you get into DLO cable, that's like fine strand. It's like that amplifier cable. It's like really, really small strands, kind of like speaker wires. That stuff carries like twice the amount of amperage as a regular wire. So I've done 750s of that. And that stuff's crazy because it's really flexible, but man, it's so dense. Way undersized. Yeah, you said that. Okay. So yeah, somebody tagged me asking me about the switches, and my answer is flat out, I don't care. I think it's stupid. But at the end of the day, it's not in the NEC. And like I said before, if it's at your local level, well then the electrician's got to do it. And man, in general, dude, builders just are relying completely on their electricians. They don't actually know. So a lot of these builders, even the ones that I walk with, they don't know anything about electrical. And it's kind of crazy because the electricians are in general fairly terrible too. So some are probably watching right now. It doesn't even matter. Uh, just crazy mistakes, man. Crazy. I see crazy stuff all day. I see insane things that are unfathomable. You don't even realize how bad electricians can screw stuff up. You guys are part of this channel as subscribers, so you guys are already a step above the average electrician, just caring to learn more, just being a part of this channel, because this channel is more for like education. What did he say? Yeah, don't ban anybody, but I want to know what he said. Timed him out. Yeah, time me out of school. Electricians aren't people. Yeah. So you probably have an idea of how bad electricians can install stuff, but you don't really know. Like, I was a good electrician, man, so I didn't think becoming an inspector, I was going to see the stuff that I see. That's all I can tell you. I just never thought that I would even have some of the conversations that I have to have. It's crazy. The subsea cable is some crazy stuff to work with. 3.5 diameter, lead shielded. That's pretty cool. Sorry, it's not me typing. I tried voice, and yeah, I said Casey instead of KCML. No, I got you. But you said something about forward. I use voice type all the time, man. I write up reports all day, and I use voice type. Um, if not, I would just be there freaking double finger typing on my iPad for way too long. So I've gotten to where even whenever I'm doing personal texting, I just talk to my phone and whatever it says, that's what you get. You guys can figure it out. Got to find the right mentor who wants to teach you the trade. That's true, man. I'm trying to think who my mentor was, without saying names. I think I probably got like two people in mind. I think, but being in construction, you still kind of bounce around to different jobs, and that person goes to a different job, and you might learn a lot from someone in 8 months, and then you might not see him again for 3 years. So in construction, it's really hard to like have like a mentor. But whenever I first started my company, um, working for the company that I was at, I was going to school for HVAC and also going to school for electrical. And I was going to IEC. And the days that I didn't go to IEC, I went to college for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And I guess because I was showing initiative, showing that I wanted to learn and was hungry to, just do better, I had a foreman actually go to bat for me, and they actually ended up giving me benefits, even though I wasn't a full time employee technically, because I was leaving at like 1 o'clock to get to school by 4. So I was leaving the job site early for like the last 6 months. Trust me, I have to direct this text daily. Yeah. What's going on, man? Bob Ross, Zeus. Yeah, I bet you did, Sills. So, yeah, no, this guy kind of stuck his neck out for me, man, and kind of forced HR to give me full benefits, even though I was only doing like 33, 32 hours a week, which was pretty cool. So that guy definitely gave me a good trajectory to go to certain job sites. And then one of the next job sites, I worked with him for a couple of years and learned a lot, doing schools and stuff like that. So um, definitely having the tools and showing some initiative goes a long way. Impact you're seeing with guys in the trades with gas going up? Um, I don't see that side of it, so I don't really know about the gas going up because I'm an electrical inspector, so I'll hit 15 to 20 jobs a day. Um, no one ever shows up for their own inspection anyway, so it's a crazy concept to show up for your own inspection. Out of the 20 inspections I do, I might meet 7 people on site. Uh, People just call it in and expect you to do whatever. So I won't see that side of it, but there's a part of that question that I'll answer when you said, "What am I seeing with guys in the trades?" Dude, it's getting bad out there. It's getting really bad out there. Even the best electricians are few and far between, and even the best electricians are making huge mistakes. Huge mistakes. Mistakes that cost tens of thousands of dollars. Big companies, really reputable, big companies building schools ground up are making tens of thousands of dollars in mistakes. And luckily, I'm really proactive. But man, the other day I went to a school and the code, they relocated the dishwashers. So GFCI used to be for receptacles only, and it used to only be for areas within 6 feet of the sink. And then they're like, okay, we're going to do it everywhere in the kitchen. And then they said, okay, we're going to do it everywhere in a commercial kitchen. And they said, okay, screw that. We're going to do it everywhere with food prep. So now, if you're in the middle of a break room, and they do this often for these corporate locations, and they have like an island in the break room, and on that island, they've got like 8 microwaves underneath the counter, and then you can, prep your food on top of the island, the microwaves down here. Every one of those microwaves has to have GSCI protection. And now, with the readily accessible code, which we hit on earlier when we were talking to AI, the readily accessible thing says that you can't have a GFCI device behind the microwave. It has to be a breaker. And some of those breakers, if they're bolt-ons, they're $200, $300 each. So now you're looking at adding potentially $1,000 to a job site just for a couple of plugs. They can't be behind the microwave. But back to the whole dishwasher thing, they added dishwashers to the appliance section of the code. And then in 210.8, where the GFCIs are, they said for the appliances located in 422, which is appliances, we've got a whole list for you that requires GFCI. So they moved dishwashers over there, and now there's a whole list of appliances, including dishwashers, that you have to have GFCI protection for. And they also added 3-phase to that. Well, a 3-phase module starts at about $1,200, and they go up to about $2,000 once you get to that 60 amp threshold. So a 40 amp 3-phase module for a freaking dishwasher, just one of them, is about $1,600. And these guys needed 3 of them. It's not a fun conversation to have. That's exactly why nobody wants to pull permits anymore. You're absolutely right. Also, the other problem with that, and I'm really careful about this, but my boss or my boss's boss's boss would want me to go to the house and narc on him and say, hey, your shed is also too close to your fence while I'm busy doing a panel inspection. And it's like, dude, if I go there and start complaining about somebody's shed while I'm there to look at a panel, you can almost guarantee they're never going to pull another permit. Like, you look at how many permits we have pulled, how many inspections we have a day, and there's way more work going on than that. I would say like maybe 10% of people doing work is actually pulling the permits, and the other 90 is just doing whatever. And that's just the way it is, because I work for companies, 20 years of experience now, 10 years, in the actual installation world and contracting. And man, you just sometimes you just don't pull a permit. And I would think that number would shrink pretty quick. You start calling out people's fences being too close to their damn shed. I'm here for a life safety issue. I could care less about your shed. What's up? She's going to sleep. Good night. Good night. Love you. Good night. Love you. Oh, thank you. Whoops. Oops, didn't mean to lock that door. Oh well. It pushed shut. There were people on this channel that think I'm not capable of doing electrical, even though I have a state. Oh, who cares what they think, dude? Screw them. You watch all my videos. Appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate the support, man. Thanks for watching all the videos. Don't watch them just to watch them, just to give me credit, man. Get something out of them. If you're not getting anything, go find it somewhere else. But also leave me feedback if you need something different. Simple power strip solves all the microwave problems. That's the only way to learn. Let's see here. Permits, what are those exactly? Uh, like in Florida, no auto inspection. Yeah. Yes, I'm a city inspector. Yeah. Yes. I'm not gonna tell you what city, but it's we're really strict. We know our stuff. I want to learn about those tracers and such. Need to learn about those tracers and such. What is the threshold on pulling permit residents in your jurisdiction? Obviously, a new panel. What about a ceiling fan, your dishwasher, garbage disposal? Okay, so in general, right? And we're going to touch on some receptacle stuff about when you actually have to do this. If you are replacing and the wire is not being extended or relocated, you don't need a permit. You don't need a permit to replace a ballast. You don't need a permit for a LED retrofit. You don't need a permit for replacing a light fixture, replacing a receptacle, replacing a ceiling fan, anything like that. But for electrical, if you're going to extend the circuit, you do need to pull a permit. You should pull a permit. And I can tell you right now, with what I'm seeing out there, man, you got an electrician doing the work for you. It's your best interest to have a second pair of eyes on it. That's all I can tell you, man. It's getting bad out there, man. These guys, they have no idea what they're doing anymore. Um, Now, do you have to have arc fault uh, when you replace a receptacle? It depends if you pulled a permit. Okay, so we don't need a permit to replace a receptacle. So replace away. Now, if you have a permit and you replace a receptacle underneath that permit, as the inspector, I've got to make sure that it has arc fault protection, because 406.4D replacement receptacle says if you replace a receptacle in a location that would require arc fault, you have to arc fault it. You're also going to have to make sure it's tamper proof, WR if it's outside, and GFCI if it applies to the location. But in general, that's what you can do without a permit. Chicago, nice. Inspectors are super chill. Um, I can tell you right now, man, a lot of inspectors. Yeah, I appreciate the gift, man. Thank you. See if I can. I was trying to like it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I appreciate the basketball, man. Thank you. YouTube only pops them up for half a second. You gotta be quick. Let's see here. Knipex in the back. Sheesh. Yeah, yeah. We got we got a lot of tools, man. We like tools. I've always, you know what? That's probably what helped me get ahead of most of the competition, because that's what it is. You know, you join the company. There's a bunch of people your same rank, and you've got to make yourself known. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be different than everybody else to progress, because it's, you know, it's a battle out there. So I always had all the tools that even some of the guys that have been there for 4 or 5 years didn't even have. So you kind of hear that joke or the meme where the journeyman is borrowing your tools and he's using your tools more than you're using your tools. But if you pay attention and you look at what they're doing and you don't mind them using your tools, man, you can learn a lot. So it's kind of a give and take, man. That's kind of the tax to learn, have the tools, and then you can get good at already handing people stuff before they even need it. And the other day I went to a job and this electrician, he had put the cold water ground inside the panel and it needed to go to the outside disconnect. And it was long enough to reach out there, but it just wasn't in the right spot. So I was like, hey man, go get your screwdriver. And he was kind of caught off guard. I don't think he knew it was going to help him. And I was looking with my flashlight back there, and I could see where his PVC nipple was coming through, where his meter was, or not the meter, but the disconnect. And I was like, drill you a hole right here, man, and we're just gonna pull this copper out of this panel and send it right next to this connector. It's gonna come right in the back of this disconnect. And I was helping him feed it while he was pulling and everything. And then once we were running on the other side, he had all those tools like on his, pouch. He had what did he have? He had a gator back. He had a gator back pouch. And I'm grabbing all the tools from his pouch and handing it to him before he can even reach for them and everything. We're just building it all together, man. You become a good apprentice. You start handing people tools where they need them. That's where it's at. Let's see here. CA. Let's see here. I'm working as a project engineer for an electrical contractor while for an interview to join the union as an apprentice. Should I stay in the office or go to the field? I really want to become an electrician. Man, let me read that again. You're working as a project engineer. That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough. You're gonna destroy your body as an electrician. You're never gonna be comfortable. You're gonna be in all the elements. You're gonna get a free workout, so you don't have to worry about your overall health, right? You never have to go to the gym. You never have to worry about not being able to sleep. You definitely be tired by the end of the day. You're gonna get more. There's a lot of camaraderie. It's almost like a. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a homosexual that wants to teach you about psychology, I guess. Whatever, we'll try it. Vasopressin is going to be a hormone that's created, and when you solve problems together, it's released, and it's a bonding hormone. So, as you're working with a group of guys, for example, dude, I could call somebody I haven't talked to in 10 years. I could pick up the phone and we could have a conversation for 3 hours. And I hadn't talked to him in 10 years. Those bonds don't really exist with women. And men get those bonds. You see it in the military, you see it in construction. You don't see it in offices too much unless you guys are like a tight knit team. But there's certain really rewarding things when you're in the field as an electrician with a group of guys and you all are working towards a common goal. It's hard to explain. It sounds really cheesy, but you will gain a certain respect and trust for each other. You guys are still gonna treat each other, like crap and make fun of each other and poke fun and call each other names and all that stuff. That's part of it. But there's a unexplainable bond that you're gonna get with those guys when you work with them that you will never get in an office. And that is probably one of the coolest things about being in the field is that you get this tight-knit group of friends. You may not even like them, but at the end of the day, you guys are all building something together. And like it or not, you guys got to work with each other. It's a really good character builder. And you cannot get that being a supervisor in the office. You'll miss out on it. So if you really want to be a successful supervisor in the office or whatever you're doing, it's really important to be in the field first, because certain things just don't work in real life that look like they work on paper as well. So you're always going to run into that, but you don't want to squander your chance. So I don't know what I would do if I was you, because the office is where it's at, dude. The office is where it's at. I can tell you that. But I wouldn't trade what I did for, I feel like I did everything the right way, where I was beating the crap out of my body for 10 years, learning, being hot in the summer, being cold in the winter, waking up at 5 o'clock, getting home at 5 o'clock, sometimes 10 if you're on a service truck, and waking up and doing it all again and just beating the crap out of your body. Uh, I don't regret it, but man, there's an easier life out there. You just got to decide which one you want to do. But without having field experience, um, I don't think you'll be as successful. That's all I can say. Let's see here. In Texas, where Austin, I installed some commercial fans. The patio ran a GSC out of the outdoor roof eave underneath, and a licensed electrician to code. City said no permit needed. Nice, nice. When both the field and the office, run the field gauntlet until you start thinking about the day where you can't then work in efficiency. Yeah, exactly, Apache. But when we ran and put the whole house Generac with the module auto start from the city, the power generator city wanted a permit and a detailed inspection. Yeah, our city wants an inspection for everything, man. Everything. Nothing quite like creating a lifelong trend, calling each other gay, pushing over a porta potty, or someone shooting rails. All that except for shooting the rails there, Kansas. I can't relate to that one. Uh, yeah. The hardest thing I experience now in my position, managing management level guys, don't have the field experience to manage crews and be accountable for their production. Yeah. To be a good manager, you have to work in the trenches. I think so too. I think so too. But you're also gonna get, man, you're gonna make some lifelong friends too. Not all of them, but one or two. And it's, man, it's a small world out there, dude. Don't burn your bridges. Uh, it's a small world, man. I see people I haven't seen in 10 years. I saw one guy the other day. I don't want to tell too much of his story. Um, he was taking over a job for another electrician. It was a little uh, almost said what it was. Restaurant, a little restaurant. This electrician ran off on the owner, and he was taking it over. So I'm there for a ceiling inspection, but I like to be proactive. So I'm looking at all the service and all the panels and just everything. And we go to the back, and the disconnect is like way the hell up here, man. It can only be 6 foot 7 inches. So I, standing flat-footed, put my hand flat up like this, and I can barely even reach the disconnect. So it's like it's probably 7 foot 6. It's probably 10 inches too high. And we start talking about how he's going to run to these panels. So I go inside, and he's got two 200 amp panels, one here, one here. And he's got a big old 36-inch junction box up above everything. And he starts telling me how he's going to parallel. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I only saw one disconnect outside. Can't go to two panels. That's not how you parallel. When you parallel, you got to be the same length, the same size, the same material, whether it's copper or aluminum. You got to use the same raceway material, whether it's PVC or EMT or whatever. That's all got to be the same. And then you got to land on the same overcurrent device, same termination. More importantly, I guess you could say the same termination. So that last part of the code where it says you got to land on the same termination, you can't land on two separate panels. You can't come off of, for a couple of reasons, right? You can't come off of a 400 amp disconnect with fuses and then run it to two separate 200 amp panels, because those 200 amp panels, the bus is only rated for 200 amps. So your last overcurrent protection can't be 400 amps before that. That's fundamental. But then the rules of parallel says you got to land on the same termination. So I was like, man, you can't do that. You're gonna have to figure something else out. So I go out there and I open the disconnect, and the damn thing didn't even have fuses in it. So just restart that whole project. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you just never know what you're gonna find, man. You just never know. What's up, Yim? Yeah, man, you're welcome. But yeah, the whole Steven 120 and the sci-fi and whoever else that electrician is on TikTok, I don't even know. I can't keep up. It's just stupid. It's just stupid because I think Steven's right because he's talking from the NEC perspective. And when an electrician says, "Hey, the switches aren't required," or switches, yeah, switches aren't required to be not behind the door. You can put a switch wherever you want. That probably was the correct response to that video. Was just like, hey, so the code says you can put a switch wherever you want. That's an appropriate response. And I feel like the other dude, if he didn't have such an ego, he would have been like, oh, well, here in Arizona, we are required to put our switches where they're not behind a door. And then the appropriate response would have been like, oh, okay, well, that's different because that's a city ordinance, or that's an amendment. Cool, have a good day. But instead, the other guy is like, no, it's a code, and it's not a code. It's a code in your city, but that doesn't mean that it's a code. So actual electricians that are not TikTok inspectors, we know the code book. And when we say it's not a code, it's not a code. Now, if it's a rule and it becomes a code in your city, that's different. To freaking try to die on a hill and try to gain clout, just like you're recording the city gas guy every time they come out and he finds a gas leak, which is cool, man. Don't get me wrong. I respect what he's doing, but it's just, man, the whole thing's just cringe, man. That guy's just cringe. And I don't know. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. That's how that should have went. Hey, switches can be behind doors. Oh, hey, in Arizona we can't put them behind doors. Oh, okay, cool. Well, have a good day. That's that's as far as that should have went. And you look at where it's at now, and it's just people are getting doxxed and everyone's crying on the internet. It's just stupid, man. People are stupid. You spent 12 years in the field, 2 years in basic, lower management, and 10 in upper management. Nice, Patchy. You should. Can you get a wireman's in California, or is it like all like hard certifications? Because in Texas, a certified electrical inspector doesn't mean anything, or a certified electrician doesn't mean anything. You can be a certified. I'm a certified electrical inspector, and I think that's probably as high. That's the highest rank that you can get for my level of what I'm doing. But a certified electrician, that doesn't mean anything in Texas. You got to be licensed. So you're gonna get you got a wireman, you got a journeyman, you got a master's, you got a sign, you got a residential appliance, rail, residential appliance. You've got, I think the pool guys are residential appliances. There's like 6 or 7 different licenses you can get. They all have tests and they all want money, of course. But in California, I don't know if you can do. It's hard certs here. See, a cert. So in order to take your test to get your cert, you have to show so many hours, or you have to have somebody sign off. So for our license, we got to go to TDLR, which is the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. I think TDLR, or registration regulation. And then you got to get a letter from a master that says how many years or hours, and he puts his John Hancock on there and signs off and seals it, whatever he does. And then that letter says that with your license underneath his supervision of his license, he's witnessed this many hours, and you can go take the test, basically. And then you got to sign up for it. You got to give him your social, and they want their money, of course, and all that stuff. And then they'll send you a postcard from the state that will let you log into a certain exam, like center or whatever. Then you can use that code to schedule. Let's see here. Unless you find you need a master electrician. Apprenticeship program completion 3 to 6 years, journeyman level experience with hours and cert from ICC or IAEI. Okay, so I've got. Yeah, that's what I'm ICC certified on every possible electrical certification that I can get for inspections. Yeah, sorry, the door's locked because I pushed the knob. Well, good thing the door's locked. No. Love you. Good night. Good night. Yeah, that's what I do. ICCs. That's what I've got. I've got licenses, ICC certifications, ICE exams, and which is ICE exam is an industry competency exam. It's for HVAC. In California, journeyman is 8,000 hours of apprenticeship in CA. Okay, so that's what it is here in Texas, 8,000 hours. Some cities are okay with inspectors showing 3 years under a license, C10. So a C10, is that journeyman or is that like a full-blown contractor? Same with the NBC, it's all about the money. Yearly restart exams and physical exams every 2 years and 6-year license renewal period. Yeah. $8,000 hours. Apprentice or 4,000 journeyman. Is that backwards? 8,000 journeyman, 4,000 apprentice. I think you get an apprentice license. Anyone can get an apprentice license in Texas. It's like $25, and congratulations, you're an apprentice. And then you're able to start logging your hours after that. Once you complete a school in California, you can take your journeyman test. You're not going to get your journeyman card until you've completed your 8,000 hours at apprenticeship. Okay. They used to do that here in Texas where you could go take your test and then wait for your hours. They stopped doing that the year that I was going to try to do that. But I mean, you guys have seen me do the practice exams on here. I think they give you do they give you 4 hours to take a test? I've never sat more than an hour to take an exam because I don't know. I know everything is in the code book, so it's an hour for my exams. But dude, the new code, not the 26, but the next one. So what is that? That's 2020, 23, 26. Maybe it's the 29, or it's in the 30s. They're going to restructure the whole code book to where it looks like the IVC. And that's going to be interesting. That's going to be real interesting when they do that. It's a portion of the contractor license for installation, maintenance, and repair or electrical systems. Can you get if you're C10, can you have a business? Can you go get insurance and start running? Or is that more like a journeyman? C10 sounds like installation, maintenance, and repair electrical systems. Yeah, that sounds like a full blown license, like a master. Do they have masters in California? Okay. So can a C10 sign off on someone's hours? Or is a C10 like journeyman level? Yes and yes. Okay. So C10 sounds like it's a master level, basically. Yeah, that's a master. I got you. Yeah, because I got a mug when I graduated that says I was a certified bright spark electrician or something. And I'm like, certifications don't mean anything. At least here in Texas, they don't. Certifications just a freaking piece of paper as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the word certification, but I guess it means more than what I'm giving it value to. When someone says they're certified, it's just like, okay, you took a course and you passed a test and now you're certified, because there's so many like certs, like continued education certs, and it doesn't feel like a huge accomplishment. So you get a C10 without being a master, but you have a 4-year journeyman plus 8,000 hours as an apprentice. Oh, oh, okay. Oh, it's backwards. Okay, so for Texas, you need 8,000 hours to become a journeyman, and then you need 2 more years to get your master's. 8,000 hours is just a journeyman's license in the state of California. What 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 certification is that called? What is the 8,000 hours journeyman in California? C8 or something? Yeah, and man, they don't reciprocate either because Texas did something stupid years ago. And they decided that if you had been in the field for however long, they just they need a journeyman, so they basically let everyone upgrade to a journeyman without setting an exam. So we call them crackerjack electricians because you got your license out of a crackerjack box. And man, it created a problem for a while. But now all those guys are kind of where they should be, you know, and it's not near as bad. But for a while, man, you're getting like these older electricians that really didn't know what they were doing, and they'd be running crews and they'd start pulling like black for grounds and stuff, and it's like, whoa, man, what are you doing? He's like, no, no, we do this all the time, and then you're like, okay, and then sure enough, inspector comes like, hey, man, why is this ground black? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Or I guess I'll pull it out and put green. You know, there's not really a class, just a journeyman, so it's a test. But there's a test for the journeyman's license. You can get your C10 without being a master electrician, but the only difference is the master's exam. Okay, yeah. So the C10 is the journeyman's license. I see. Oh, I see. And then that probably reciprocates to Texas, but Texas won't reciprocate out because of what we did years ago. That's why they switched to PSI for the testing centers. Was they used to be done at there used to be a different entity that we tested with, and now we do the Pearson View or the PSI, or maybe it was PSI, now it's Pearson View. I can't remember what it is. I think it's PSI is what we use now, but we used something else before, and because they gave away licenses, we had to restructure everything, so it was like a different test. But yeah, so maybe now we'll reciprocate now that we use PSI. But for a while, man, no states wanted our electricians because they had crackerjack licenses. But man, California is pretty far away. They probably wouldn't reciprocate. I think there's only like 8 states like in this little area, in the middle of the U.S. that would probably reciprocate with us. But yeah, well, I'm gonna get off of here. Somebody asked me about the Switch thing, and I don't know. I didn't want to make a short about it. I don't want to be any part of that. But I think it's stupid, man. I think the correct answer would have been hey, the code says you can put a switch wherever you want. And then size response would have been, oh, well, here in Arizona, you can't. It's a city ordinance or an amendment. And then the other guy would have been like, oh, okay, cool, have a good day. Like that probably should have been it. So the whole thing's just awkward. What's up, Russ? I actually fixed 2 FAUs and thermostats where the guy was complaining about his switch behind the door. I told him a passcode, but it wasn't ideal. Yeah. Yeah, there's no code that says you can't do it. So it's the whole thing's just stupid and awkward, man. California's reciprocated with most states. Yeah. Man, you guys got a lot of seismic bracing and all kinds of stuff as well. There's a lot of extra things just in your neck of the woods that we got to worry about too. The one of the projects I did for a museum in a crawl space, like surrounded by concrete. I mean, the grade beams were almost 2 foot thick. That's not even exaggeration. They're using number 8 rebars, and I was running a rack. It was like 200 foot long. I had 4 inch rigid on it, and they wanted me to put seismic bracing for each individual rack for this run. And it's like, dude, we're in the basement. Like, if this thing actually fails, like, we got a lot more worries than freaking seismic bracing in Texas. Oregon is really tough too. Kind of makes me want to just take some of these exams, just to do them for fun. Now that I've got all the certs that I need for my job, I might just start pursuing just more licenses and things like that. Because why not? You know, city will pay for them. I'm super accurate with the code more than AI. There's certain stuff, man. There's a lot to that freaking code book, dude. There's a lot. There's a lot. But the trick is, to take your time. I don't think a lot of inspectors take their time, dude. I take my time on my jobs. So if I'm looking at the plans and it shows one line, I'm looking at probably 20 different codes, right? We're going to look at the material. So if it's metal, let's say it's a surface. Let's say we're coming off of a trans socket and we're outside and what's called a 3-inch pipe. So we'll say it's a 400 amp breaker. We'll say it's we'll do 2 inches, 2 sets of 3-aught, and a 400 amp fuse. And on those lines, man, you're looking at all kinds of stuff. We're looking at whether it's sealed above live parts. You got sealed lock rings. You're going to have bonding bushings, or you're going to have Myers hubs. You're going to have the jumper off of the bonding bushing. So if it's 2 sets of 3-aught, you're going to take that total KC mil. You're going to convert that aught into a KC mil and then figure out what that is. So that'd be a number 2, by the way. So you'd have a number 2 for the jumpers going to your bonding bushings. And then from there, you're going to look at the terminations, how they're landing. You're going to make sure you're on the line, the load, and, you're on the top of the disconnect versus the bottom. Then you got to look for the grounding electrode conductors. So the ground electrode conductor is going to be a number 2, like we talked about. You might have a number 6 for the ground rods. You're going to make sure that the bonding screw is installed, or there's a main bonding jumper or something. The grounding electrode, the code says wire or bus bar. So the grounding electrode conductor has to land on the actual neutral. It can't land on the equipment ground bar or on the case, because the code says it has to be a wire or bus bar. So if they land on some kind of terminal lug, there has to be a wire or bus bar going back to the neutral, because we can't use the case as that current path. And then from there, I mean, that's already, so many codes. We're looking at 310.15. We're looking at 240.6 for the standard size breakers and fuses. You're looking at 250.122 for the equipment ground size. It's coming off the 400, which would be number 3. You're looking at 250.66 for the number 2. You're looking at 250.102C1 for the bonding jumpers. You're looking at 310, whatever the ceiling above live parts is. And that's just one line. And then I go to the next line of the freaking diagram, and I do that all over again for every bit of it, And then every time I find a wire, I'm like, okay, does this one make sense? And dude, it takes a lot of time to do these inspections, and there's so much more. You got available fault current. You got to get the impedance from the transformer, the kVA, the voltage, the length, the size of the conductor, the type of material it's ran in, and then you got to measure that and how many sets. You got to go from the transformer to your first means or to your tap can or whatever you're doing, or however long that run is. Man, there's a lot to these inspections. What is wrong with post-tension slabs? I don't think there's anything wrong with post-tension slabs. Oh, to cut them. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to mess with post-tension slabs. That gets expensive. How big are the cables? The cables aren't that big. The cables are trying to find something diameter wise. Maybe a little bit bigger than that circle. They're probably like a 3/4 at the most, at the absolute most. Probably closer to a 5/8. The thing is, you just can't cut them. So, if you're doing a remodel or something, you better pay for some x-ray before you start just coring a hole. Show some 350. I missed something there. What's wrong with post tensions? What's wrong with post tensions? I have to x-ray the wall so you don't drill into the cable. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So GPR is no good for scanning for cores. What is GPR? Someone has to have something like that. I always called it x-raying. So if GPR is like a method that they're using now, I'm not down with it. But yeah, you definitely want to x-ray everything. Man, we gotta get off of here. Oh yeah, I did know that GPR. Yeah, ground pressure. I did know that. Damn. Nice. I don't know. I don't know what the standards are. All I know is we contract that out. That gets contracted out. We gotta get though. I put a short out tonight. Somebody showed me something really cool with a pair of wire strippers. Really cool trick. I gotta edit the video, and I'm gonna get that out probably tomorrow. And then I didn't show this purposely, so no one's seen this yet, except for the video that just came out. Okay. This is the Alpha, the circuit tracer. So if we look at this, it's a digital circuit tracer, but it's also a multimeter. And once you select the scan, let me show you here. Let me do this. Okay. Select scan. It's got codes on here. So this isn't just a digital. This is like a two-way. See code A here, code A. If I press here to C, look, it changes to C almost instantly. So this thing is like two-way, but then it's got that dial on the side. And then it's got the sensitivity levels. So if I go here, level 1 sensitivity, level 2 sensitivity, level 3, since your level 3 is here, it's a pretty cool device, but more importantly, man, they understand the importance of the ground versus the neutral. But I mentioned it about the ground spike. I didn't really talk about it too much. Oh, it's not in there. Hang on. Too many things on the table. You have to go back and look at the video. The ground spike, that's just a sign of a professional tool, man. Because the ground spike like this for Fluke is several $100s. So the cables from the deck, depends on how they're running them. Sometimes I'll put them over the rebar, so it's 2 inches, 2 inches maybe. Maybe 3. They're in the deck. They're everywhere. They're going through the bulkheads. Those post tensions are everywhere. In like the grade beams around the exterior, they won't be running linear, but they'll be, you know, making like a grid. I am correct. I don't know which one I'm correct on. Oh, the ET450? Maybe. I got to mess with it more. I think so. I think I do recommend. I need to compare both of them. But for the price of that and everything that it comes with, and that it's got different channels, and it's got a dial on the side, and it's got the extra sensitivity modes, and then it's got a multimeter built in, it's a really, really cool toy. I will have to compare them directly, but I've found no flaws with it at all. Like it traces through the wall better than the Fluke will, or the Klein. I feel like it's more of a circuit tracer with a lot of utility with the multimeter. So, all right. Well, yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, it's got NCV and a flashlight and all that other built in too. It's pretty cool. It's $100 cheaper, and I like the features. It's very, very cool. Did you get one, Josh, or are you just looking at one? They seem really cool. We're not done with it on the channel. It's got so much potential. We've got to do more with it. It's probably going to replace the Klein one. You're going to get it. Can you do a video showing the difference in ohm readouts? Yes. Yes. So the book here. Where is it? Oh man, the instructions were not amazing. They were okay, but they were not amazing. So I chose not to show them because I didn't want to confuse anybody. See, it's showing buried cable. Like it's made for some pretty extreme troubleshooting. If you got multiple cables, which is really unlikely, you can have different like channels, I guess, whenever I show you the ABC. I was looking for the this right here. Resistance 60. See that right there? 60 mega ohms. That's going to show a short. We can also test it right now just by going like this. One here. One here. The fastest way to test is to see if it goes through your body. It's also lithium ion, so you never have to charge or you never have to replace the batteries. Okay, so if I put one on this finger. Ooh, that's kind of aggressive. Ow. Hang on. Oh my god, it's freaking chewing me up. Oh yeah, oh man, that feels freaking fantastic. You guys are welcome. There. We are completely sandwiched there. Across my body. And yeah, that hurts. Okay. All right. Hang on. That's actually starting to really hurt now. Haha, it's like a chainsaw. Yeah. It reads across your body. It was starting to tattoo me. This one wasn't so bad, but this one here was like a little puppy, you know, when it gets just right and it, you know, you got like a little puppy and he's like just kind of biting on your finger, like, oh, that's cute. But then he like gets his back teeth in there. That was starting to feel like the back teeth with the quickness. Yeah. So it's a cool meter. It's pretty cool. The things I do for people, yeah. Quality feels okay. So it's rubberized, but it's still hard. So it's not rubber, but it's not rubber. Like you see where my finger can kind of dig into it. This here is more like a plastic. It feels pretty lightweight, so I don't know how I feel about it. It's probably fine. It's just different. Like the plastic It's very ABS-y feeling, but I don't think it is. I think it's slightly better than that. I don't think it's very much better than ABS, but I think it's better than ABS. Hang on. I don't really want to scratch this that much. You see what I'm saying? It's not as good as batteries, but it's not quite like cheap shit. It's just half cheap shit, I think. So you can see that instantly scratches. Like that's like ABS crap. This at least has something. We'd have to take it apart to see what it's made of. Plasticized after 5 years or so? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Can't be super. Yeah, it is a piece of test equipment. Finger dents, nice. Yeah. Yeah, the finger dents, it's rubberized, so it's rubber, but it's still plastic. This stuff is kind of weird. Kind of see where it. A lot softer. And then they made it. It looks like it's like a case, but it's not. It's just. It's interesting. It has grip too, but it's still hard plastic. But it's rubber. It's never felt anything like that before. The wand is the same way. The wand, it's like more shockproof, but it's still hard plastic. It's like rublastic, yeah. What's the cat value on the meter? Man, that's a good question. Good meters would say it on here. That is a very good question, actually. Let's see here. I might have to ask them because it does not have it on here. Test range is up to 750 volts. But it's not like a listed ROH, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have any certifications. Like this at least has, it doesn't have anything on it either. Even the screwdriver will probably have better certifications than that. This will say, what does it have on here? This screwdriver doesn't have any certifications either. There it is there, IEC. IEC 6090 or 6900. So like there's no IEC, there's no CAT, there's no really nothing on it. Yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. It works really good though. Oh, also about this. This is coming out on a Lowe's video. So we'll give you guys a sneak peek. This is coming out. Look at this. Different color. This is gray now. See how it's gray? They're usually like a different color. That's coming out. Also picked up DeWalt suspenders for you guys. And then we got a DeWalt shirt. These are like $25 right now. Should have a rating. I didn't see a rating on it, so we're just going to say. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know. No rating. Yeah, the client's going to be rated. They spent money. They spent good money to get that all legit. I don't know. I'm not sure what these guys, what their angle is. But, man, it's a good design. They just need to maybe get some ratings on it. I don't know. What's up, Jan? We got to get there, man. We'll probably catch you guys tomorrow or something. Trying to get muscle tools on here so we can talk some electrical. Maybe make a battery. I've got nickel. Got nickel strips here. Solid roll of nickel. And I've got this thing charging. This is the battery spot welder. This thing's kind of scary. We'll have to read the instructions before we go. Shocking ourselves. But yeah, that's all coming out soon. Soon enough. We'll see you later, guys. Sorry, Jan, you missed us. We'll see you soon. Cool if it works. Good. Yeah, it should work. We're gonna take apart a flex battery and fix one of our Milwaukees. All right, we're out of here. See you guys.